see me around very often, that's because, well, I haven't been here very long. I've only been here for about 3 weeks, and I'm here in town trying to get a job as a graphic designer. And this is how I've chosen to introduce myself to the community. We're all equally naked. It's a very simple philosophy of mine that shows up in some of my comics that I'm going to talk to you about tonight. But first I'll explain it by, talking about, I really believe that no designer is really a one-trick pony. A lot of us have a lot of multiple interests, drawing, painting, film, writing, web. A lot of us have a lot of interests outside of our careers, outside of our offices. And a lot of this can, start a lot of side projects, a lot of side interests. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about tonight is one of my side projects, which is actually drawing comics. Now, I started drawing comics when I was about 14 years old, and that itself spurred from, a lifetime of writing books and illustrating them myself. And, they're nothing really flashy. They're typically drawn on notebook paper or drawn with a Wacom tablet on the computer, and kind of crazy and, just all about myself and my life. And so I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about what I read. And those of you who have met me in the past 3 weeks that I've been here might be a little surprised to find out that I'm not afraid to tread on the darker side of humor. And Jonan Vasquez certainly exhibits that in his comics. But, their dark inking style and their tweaky little bodies and their really expressive faces. So he's definitely an influence of mine. Another influence would have to be mind-numbing eye candy, Japanese anime, manga. They're firmly rooted in a childhood of Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z for me. Yeah. So as wacky as they can be, they're definitely probably the biggest influence for my comics, and you'll definitely see that in some of my art. Now, I also really love online comics. A lot of those can be found on deviantart.com, and they range from very serious things, very action-packed, heavily rendered, to kind of more comical things. Like I love, Sweeney Todd over there with Kermit. So that's where I find a lot of my comics as well. Alright, so what do I draw? Comics about my life, my day-to-day adventures, people I encounter. I've drawn comics about boyfriends, fights, enemies, ghosts, zombies, pretty much anything. I'm definitely one of those people that's constantly doing something. When I'm not designing, I'm writing, or drawing one of these comics. I'm always pulling inspiration from pretty much anywhere. So this is a comic that's definitely an example from an everyday life experience. When I was applying for schools, I came across a very apathetic recruiter that just could not care less about my portfolio, which is fine, but she didn't want to give me any freaking pointers. So I drew this comic to really vent about it and tell the story of what happened. So this is kind of recounting the event. And so not only does she constantly forget my name, hand me a crude doodle, and praise the kids with allergies, but basically completely forget me. But in the end, the School of the Art Institute of Chicago ended up accepting me, and I never had to show them this comic, so I just kind of put it to the side. But this is a good example of how venting turned out to be good comic material. Comics are also a good way of journaling for me. They've been going on for so long that I can look back on them and pinpoint a time in my life. This one I drew on a date. So
yes.
Should I date this guy or not? That's kind of the title of the comic. And it's been like 5 years now, so something worked out. This one, I thought it would be funny if a flying narwhal came to me in the middle of the night and told me that I was the only one that could save his magical land. I hope you people still talk to me after this. So he Sailor Moon-like transformation down there, and I get my little princess savior garb, and apparently saving the narwhal world meant stabilizing the economy, balancing his checkbook, telling the homeless guy to leave him alone, and curing a fictitious nautical disease. So that's so I saved the narwhal world, and so he takes me home and leaves me in a gutter, dazed and confused. So this is kind of what I have to do, between work and graphic design. If you ever have a difficult project, it's really good to kind of remove yourself from the situation and, do something silly like this to remain unstressed and, kind of end the game. So eventually, these were very private things for me, drawing comics, and I decided that I wanted to share them with the community and the world, and that's when I began posting them online. And doing that, became a way for me to be doing digital comics as well as some original characters, you know, things other than my crazy life and my adventures. And one of those characters turned out to be Thomas the emo kid. A high school kid in Iowa who is the leader of his emo group, all the while trying to keep in secret that he's actually really into football, and he has a nervous tick. Whenever he gets really nervous, like his cheerleading girlfriend comes around and rips off his pants. That comic went over really well. Like, a lot of people really liked it, but I ended up getting a lot of emails from actually emo people. They were pretty offended. You know, they thought I was kind of making fun of emo culture, or I was encouraging people to segregate themselves off into groups like emos and goths and jocks and all that stuff. And that's totally what I wasn't doing. He's just a silly kid that kicks off his pants. So I made this what is called the Naked philosophy. And it's a comic, basically, you know, it's emo saying, hey, jock, I don't like the way you parade your retarded ego, and hey, emo, I hate the way you ganked our look. All these people from these respective groups fighting, of course, and then I stumble into the scene, evidently with a concussion, and saying, you know, you see kids out there, nobody cares what group you're a part of or which group you hate. Don't you see we're all equally naked? And in that very simple phrase, it kind of summed up. It sums up how I feel about, you know, anything, you know, petty social segregates and all that stuff. So, so what this Pecha Kucha is all about, you know, our side projects. Don't neglect them. We have our day jobs, and we also have our side projects, and you never know how much they really do feed into our greater design puzzle. And I know that mine certainly does. It's definitely part of the foundation that I stand on. So here's some websites, you know, if you want to check out my
Hello. Hi. Thank you, Stephanie. We're all equally naked. So, any questions about the comics that Stephanie has created?
I'm sorry, excuse my ignorance, but what's emo? Who are emo people?
Nobody knows.
No, this is my first time here, so.
You know, nobody really knows. I think they're sad. Emo stands for emotional. High school kids. I don't know. It's sad. Kids these days, I don't know. Sad.
Maybe it's just people in touch with their feelings.
Something about Hot Topic. I don't know.
All equally naked.
You just came here. What did you do before here?
I just graduated in December.
From?
And from the University of Tennessee. So I was up in, you know,
Okay.
Gulf.